My name's Bruce Fummey, and I'm about to take a boat trip across the Irish Sea to perform some comedy gigs. But 700 years ago, another Bruce was making the crossing from the Ayrshire coast, not to perform comedy, but to become High King of Ireland. If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. If you're watching this, then you probably already know that on the 24th of June 1314, the flower of Scotland's manhood under Robert the Bruce sent Edward II hameward to think again. You may even have seen old newsreel footage of some of the events leading up to the battle. The film was taken live. I believe it's called Braveheart. Freedom! In one part, it shows how Edward I had brought troops from Ireland to fight the Scots. Now there's actually some truth in that, and that is part of my story today. You see, Henry II of England had colonised Ireland a century and a half before. So when Edward was unsuccessfully trying to hammer the Scots, Ireland would be a source of supplies in both material and men, whether conscripted Irish levies or indeed Anglo-Irish Norman knights. Anglo-Irish Norman. After Bannockburn, Edward II would have fully intended to use Ireland for the same purpose. But like Scotland, Ireland wasn't yet quite cowed. There were still those Irish not quite ready to be Anglo or Norman. It was to this group that Robert the Bruce sent an appeal in 1315. Whereas we and you and our people and your people, free since ancient times, share the same national ancestry and are urged to come together more eagerly and joyfully in friendship by a common language and by common custom, we have sent over to you our beloved kinsman, the bearer of this letter, to negotiate with you in our name about permanently strengthening and maintaining inviolate the special friendship between us and you, so that with God's will, your nation may be able to recover our ancient liberty. Whatever our envoys may conclude with you in this matter, we shall ratify and uphold in future. The deal that the envoys concluded was that Robert's brother Edward Bruce would come to Ireland with some other Scottish knights and battle-hardened troops and support the Gaelic O'Neills of Tyrone in their fight against the Anglo-Irish Normans on their doorstep, if he supported Edward Bruce in his bid to become High King of Ireland. Now some folk make a lot of the Bruces being Normans themselves on their father's side, but remember that on their mother's side they were Celts. Indeed, Edward could claim an Irish royal ancestry that went back to Brian Boru and Dermot MacMurrough. So he had some justification for ambitions to Irish high kingship. And his ambitions gave good justification for brother Robert wanting to see him over the sea in Ireland. Edward was famously aggressive, competitive and ambitious, and possibly had ideas on his brother's throne. The Parliament in April 1315, in which Edward officially replaced King Robert's daughter Marjorie as heir to the throne, was the same Parliament that decided to send him to Ireland to try to become king there a month later. Edward landed with a fleet of around 6,000 Scottish troops on the 26th of May 1315. The plan, with the support of their Gaelic Irish brethren, was to conquer the ruling Anglo-Irish, Hiberno-Norman, plastic paddies and put a jovial jock on the throne instead. The Bruce brothers would be king in Scotland and Ireland. No more resources for Edward II. In fact, the Bruces would control the Irish Sea. The Isle of Man would be Scottish again. There were even stirrings of our Celtic cousins in Wales rising up under Llewellyn Bren to cast out the Norman invaders so that these Celtic nations could once again be free to fight each other as God intended. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
When they landed, barely had they settled before they were attacked by the vassals of the Earl of Ulster.
What? You mean the Earl of Ulster's daughter, who's Queen in Scotland and married to Robert the Bruce? Your sister-in-law's da? Aye, that's exactly who I mean.
The Scots defeated these Anglo-Irish forces and took the town of Carrickfergus, although the castle remained in the hands of the defenders. This will be a location that we'll come back to in the future.
On the bright side, Neil of Tyrone, who'd struck the deal in the first place, had a bunch of northern sub-kings come here to swear allegiance to Edward. And they named him High King of Ireland, although that didn't stop two of them ambushing Bruce and his army on his way south.
It was only as I came south that I realised I've only been to Ireland once before, and that was so long ago that we actually beat them at the rugby. Now the border doesn't exist in rugby, but my point is that Ireland's a place that I've always wanted to spend time but never quite got round to. I'd be interested to know in the comments section, A, if you're Scottish, and B, if you're not, have you ever planned to come and visit? In the 14th century, there was no border in Ireland. That would be a consequence of James VI's actions 300 years later. So after crushing these treacherous tykes, Bruce pressed on and destroyed the force at this Norman stronghold of Castle Roche. Then he headed another 5 miles south to destroy Dundalk. Now, I don't know if he was still angry with the Gaelic petty kings swearing allegiance and then ambushing him, but it seems like there was indiscriminate killing of Anglo-Irish and Gaelic alike.
In fact, it sounds like exactly the kind of thing that nasty Edward Longshanks would have done against the Scots. Two Anglo-Irish armies headed towards Bruce, but he managed to avoid them, outmanoeuvre them, and sow seeds of doubt and division in their ranks before a Scoto-Irish charge defeated Richard de Burgh, Earl of Ulster, at Connor in September. He won again at the Battle of Kells in November, and then another at Kildare the following February. Edward Bruce was on a roll. He seemed unstoppable. So much so that he felt safe to head to what was left of Dundalk, and on the 2nd of May 1316 was crowned on the hill of Maladin. I don't know where that is or how to pronounce it, so we'll just stay here in the wind.
By custom, the High King of Ireland made a royal progress through the Irish provinces, but to do that safely, Edward needed backup. So in the autumn of 1316, Robert Bruce left 2 lieutenants as regents in Scotland, and he made the crossing to join his brother Edward. So, after a year of marching, fighting, and, let's be honest, some pretty gruesome killing, Edward Bruce, High King of Ireland, set out on his progress.
Do you think that Edward Plantagenet in England says, "Ah well, that's me out of the subduing Ireland game. Never mind, we had a good run. It was good while it lasted"? How many times have you been walking through a wood and passed a constipated talking bear saying, "I really need a jobby, but I just can't seem to go with all these trees watching me"? Do you smell shite? I said we'd come back to Carrickfergus. It was from here that the Bruce brothers set out on that royal procession in February 1317. Once again, on the way south from here, they faced ambush. But in spite of being outnumbered 8-1, saw off the Anglo-Irish insurgents.
But as they traversed Ireland, it wasn't the attacks of those loyal to the English crown that was their biggest problem. It wasn't even the lack of unity amongst the Irish Gaels. It was the famine that struck the whole of Europe at that time. As the royal progress demanded sustenance from a land that couldn't even sustain the locals, this seemed less like a royal progress and more like ravaging of the countryside. And when Robert the Bruce returned to Scotland, there was a lot of bridge building for his brother still to do in his new kingdom.
What what about the Pope? Was he Catholic? Was he no? I don't want to commit. We're still waiting for the results of that bear situation to come in. Either way, he supports the English Plantagenet Edward. Now, get this. In 1317, the Scottish Bruce Edward and his compatriots write a letter to the Pope explaining that they'd chosen Edward Bruce as the King of Ireland, not Edward II, and that they had the right to make that choice. Now, if you're thinking, hold on, that sounds awfully like the Declaration of Arbroath. I know, that's my point. Do you think somebody in the comment section is going to give a detailed explanation of this document known as the Irish Remonstrance? Have you ever seen a brown bear carrying rosary beads, speaking Latin and eating fish on a Friday? You can't move for them here. Actually, you can here. This is a very different part of Ireland, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I may have stretched the whole Catholic brown bear metaphor a wee bit much here. The point is that in this context, you start to see the genesis of the 1320 Declaration of Arbroath, which explained the genesis of Scotland. I actually made a video about it and I might leave a link at the end. Right now, let's head back south.
In spite of letters to the Pope, famine and the need to feed troops by pillaging meant that Scottish Edward seemed as bad, if not worse, than English Edward. Naturally, support waned, and it became difficult to hold territory won. Edward needed more support from back in Scotland, but Edward was ambitious and impetuous. Now, this had gotten ambushed in the past and probably lost him friends along the way. Then, on the 14th of October 1318, Edward Bruce met a much larger English force down there, led by John de Birmingham and Edmund Butler. Now, reports are confused. One report says that Bruce's Irish were reluctant to take on a bigger force, so they were left on the hill here, and Edward led the Scots against overwhelming force down the hill. The English version was that Bruce was just badly organised, and his three columns attacked one after the other, leaving the Anglo-Irish to comfortably deal with each one in turn. One way or another, Edward's impetuosity of taking battle rather than biding his time, waiting for reinforcements or a more propitious moment, meant that the Scottish-Irish force was heavily defeated by the Anglo-Irish force. I'm told that Edward's corpse was beheaded and cut in quarters to be sent around the country, although other reports suggest that he lies here in Fogart Cemetery.
I'm not sure if what lies in the grave here is the actual remains of Edward Bruce, or if it's just a way to attract Scottish history tourists like myself to Dundalk. Either way, on the 14th of October 1318, the last High King of Ireland died, along with the prospects of a pan-Celtic British Isles. At least until they build that bridge between Scotland and Ireland. Or we get £350 million a week for the NHS. Whichever comes first. If you want to know what else was going on in Scotland's history at exactly the same time as this, then there's a video coming up on screen now. In the meantime, ha' mi an dóchas go be lá má life. Cheerio and drast.